Good morning, good morning. Come on and join us today for today's talk show, Her Peace of Mind with my guest, Reverend Lateria Watson. Come on in and join the discussion. We're excited to be here with you this morning. Good morning, good morning. Truly, we're excited to be here today with you on this beautiful Saturday for this discussion of moms and women in ministry. Truly, we are still excited to be celebrating moms and women in ministry, allowing them to share their story. Come on in this morning. We are so glad to have each of you join us. Good morning, good morning. We're going to give it just a couple more minutes and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Tag and share if you know a mom or a woman in ministry. I promise you that it's going to be a blessing on today. It's going to be encouraging. It's a beautiful Saturday. So beautiful outside. Be a good day to get outside, but of course, practice social distancing. I'm going to give it about one more minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Those of you who join me, you already know that I would like for you to begin to welcome our guest, so that when she sees it on her page, she will see the hearts, the likes, and see you welcoming her. So go ahead and begin to welcome her by giving the hearts and the likes, so that she will be able to see it on her page when we are done with the discussion today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are so excited to have you for another segment of the Her Peace of Mind talk show this morning. This morning, I am so excited to have as our guest today, Reverend Lateria Watson. Welcome, Reverend Watson. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It is so good to have you on this morning. Listen, because you have a powerful story as a mom and also a powerful story as a woman in ministry. I want you to know that you were handpicked um, because of the awesome mom that you are and the awesome woman in ministry that you are. And I know that your story and your journey will truly be a blessing to others. So I want to thank you, first of all, for agreeing to come and share with me in this space on this Her Peace of Mind talk show to share your story. We are so excited to have you, and we look forward to hearing your story on today. So, welcome.
Praise the Lord. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So welcome. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, your name is Reverend Lateria Watson. Tell us a little bit about Lateria before you became a mom or a reverend. Tell us a little bit about Lateria.
Now that was a long time ago, pre motherhood. um, I was a student at University of Florida. I had my mindset on counseling. My plan was always in college to go into ministry. I thought I would be a missionary. Never planned on getting married or having kids, and so that was my goal. I was all in undergrad. That was my mindset. I'm committed, sold out to God, and that was going to be my life. Uh, Apparently, God had other plans. So
Wow. You hadn't
yeah,
planned on having any kids?
no, I did not plan on getting married or having kids. It
Wow.
was never my plan.
Wow, that is amazing. And when you say that, truly, we know that God has different things in store for us sometimes.
Amen, amen. And it was a sudden thing where I think God knew where I was at that point in my life that I couldn't handle him saying, "This is what I'm calling you." He waited until I spiritually got to where he needed me to be before he told me, "Okay, this is where I'm calling you, not the way you thought you were going." So God's timing is
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Now tell me, now, how old were you when this happened?
I got married when I was it's been a while, 22. 22. So I was 21 when I met my husband at church. We went to a church about 45 minutes outside of Gainesville, and so we drove together all the time. And so we talked. We just talked a lot about the Bible, about Bible studies, all these things, and that's how we met. And we would just socially get together, just to talk about the word. Literally, that was what we talked about. And I don't know what happened. The relationship started to change, and God was like, "This is what I'm calling you to." And it was just that instant. He's like, I think that was April, and in June we were engaged, and December we were married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know that part of your story.
It was
Wow.
quick. It was quick.
Oh, my
So,
goodness.
but it's amazing because my whole undergraduate year, God had spent my relationship with Christ evolved so much. I had spent so much time in the Word and church and just small Bible studies. And I think God just waited for me to get to that position to where I was able to hear him saying, because marriage was not my plan for good reason. I had never seen good examples of healthy examples of marriage and relationships.
Mm.
And so that's why it was not something I was interested in whatsoever. And I think God just waited for me to spiritually mature, for him to show me I can put you in a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage.
Mm.
That it isn't all that you've seen it, that it doesn't have to be that way. So it was all in God's perfect timing.
Wow. Reverend Watson. Okay, so before we even get into the questions, because you just said something so powerful for the mom or even the woman in ministry that might be listening. Now, you said that was not your desire. I want you to share because it happened so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how you knew that it was the voice of the Lord, because it changed your thoughts so quickly. And so you know that it had to be nobody but the Lord. But tell someone who may be listening how you knew that it was the voice of the Lord.
It's funny because in undergrad, in my women's Bible study, we had spent so much time talking about how do you hear God, and we all had these ideas, and we were so seeker focused in that time of my life that my whole mission was hearing the voice of God. And I actually spent, it's funny because I'm doing a Bible study on this right now. I spent a lot of time fasting and praying. And I remember walking to campus with my headphones on, listening to my songs during my fast. And it was all to get me to that point where I could hear the voice of God on a continual basis, right? And being able to separate my voice and my desires from God's voice and God's desires for me. And so it's funny because I can remember it vividly. I was standing at my apartment was 2 stories, and I was looking down, and who's now my husband, Odell, he was downstairs, and he had pulled up in his car to pick me up to go to Bible study. And I was looking at him, and in that moment, I clearly heard God say, "This is the man I want you to marry." And I just knew it was the voice of God, because I had literally been spending months getting to that point where I could decipher my will from God's will. Because sometimes we have that thing where we're like, "Ooh, yeah, this is God's will for me," but it's really us talking to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had taken all that time of discipline of deciphering God's voice, differentiating God's voice from my voice, to just standing there on that balcony looking down, and God's like, "This is your husband." And I knew that was not my voice, because that is not something I would have said to myself. So I was just like, okay. And he came up, and we wound up talking about marriage. So he must have had something going on too on his end of it.
Wow. So basically, you're saying that God spoke to both of you.
Yeah, because he came up and we started talking marriage. It was literally April. We were sort of kind of dating, we think, maybe, because we just went out and talked about the Bible. To June, "Will you marry me?" In December, we were married. So
Wow. Now, I did not know that part of your story.
yeah.
Wow. See, this is why it is so awesome for everybody to be able to tell their story, because people look at where you are, but they have no idea how you got there. That is a powerful testimony and story. And the Lord just dropped something in my spirit. I hear the Lord say that you need to put this in a book.
Listen, God has been pushing me in that direction. My kid is sitting here laughing, because she's been telling me the same thing. God has been telling me this for a while now, and I'm trying to be obedient to God. But also, sometimes I think this might not be unique to women, but we do this a lot as women, to where we doubt ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and doubt our ability to do something, and doubt our qualifications. And
Mm-hmm.
so God has been dealing with me in this area for a long time, and I might be picking your brain after this, but
Listen. You need to go back, and you need to listen to the live that I did this morning at 9 o'clock. It was entitled "Run Your Race." It's time for you to run your race. Now, this was not even part, you and I know that this right here is totally in the spirit, because this is not in our script, it's not in our questions. But because I did not know that part of your story, God allowed me to speak on his behalf to confirm something for you. It is time for you to write the book, because you have so many women who are in your position as it relates to relationships and stepping out and doing the things that God has called them to do, simply because they are unsure if it is The voice of the Lord. You
Amen.
got to write that book.
Amen. Amen.
And I don't know what the topic is going to be, but the subtopic needs to have somewhere hearing the voice of the Lord.
Amen. 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 And I
Total
don't.
confirmation.
And I it is because I know it's God, and I know it has always been God pushing me in that direction. It's just me moving my feet now. Amen.
It's time ooh, confirmation that you will be on today. And in running the race, when I talked this morning, I talked about running track.
Mm-hmm.
That message, if it was for nobody else, it was for you. It's time for you to run your race. And it came out of Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. It's time to run your race.
Amen.
Whew. We could go on a little bit, but we're gonna go we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go into the discussions. But God knew that that needed to be a part of our talk today. So tell us how many children you have and tell us the ages of your children.
Okay, I have 6 children. Okay, so I went from I'm not having kids to now I have 6. My oldest is 16. Um, my next is 14. Caleb. Alyssa's 16. Caleb's 14. Isabella's 8. Samuel's 7. Joshua is 4, and Brielle is 6 months.
It's just been 6 months for the real for the
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, she's 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell us something about each one of your children.
Alyssa, my oldest, and she's also graduating this year. Praise the Lord.
Now, I need you to be more specific. I need you to give the details about Alyssa. Now, I need you to make it clear that Alyssa is 16 and
She is.
Alyssa is graduating from high school.
She is. She is.
Please.
I homeschool. I homeschool all of our kids, and we've homeschooled from the beginning. She is 16. She's graduating from high school, and she also did dual enrollment through Eastern Florida. So she's also graduating with her AA. And
Oh, I know that.
yeah, yeah, she has her AA, and she will be going to the University of Florida, God willing, come in the fall. So yeah,
Wait. She's 16, graduated from high school, and she already has an AA degree.
she does.
Oh my goodness.
He graduated with honors from Eastern Florida. Um, so they didn't have the ceremony, but she did a little drive-through thing, so it was fun. She's a good kid. She's a really good kid. You know, she's very focused right now, and she's determined to go to UF and do what she needs to get done. She has her mindset on being in the FBI. And so she's done a lot of the footwork for it. She's done the FBI Academy in Miami. She knows what she needs to do and how to get there. She has a plan set on how she's getting there. So
Ooh, that's awesome.
yeah, we're excited about.
You gotta be excited. And let me celebrate you as a mom. That says something about you.
Praise the Lord.
16, graduated from high school and an AA degree. Girl, that's commendable.
Praise the Lord.
That is
We're
amazing. That is amazing. That's why I chose you to be celebrated. That's why I chose you to honor you. Okay, tell us about the rest of your kids.
Caleb is 14. He is also homeschooled. He is my little cook. He's always in the kitchen cooking something. Isabella is my 8-year-old. She is my quick-witted child. That's what I will call her. Quick-witted. She's a very, very funny kid. Samuel is my 7-year-old son. He's very much his father's child. He is a ball of energy and always going. Joshua, my 4-year-old, is Joshua. I don't even know how to explain that child. He is a whirlwind unto himself. And Brielle, my youngest, is my midnight buddy. She keeps me up all night. but she's so cute. You can't be
She
mad.
is. She is a doll baby. But you know what? All of your children are so precious. And I believe when I came over and preached for you all a few years ago, it was Isabella who was a baby. And that's who I had a chance to hold as a baby.
Probably.
All of your kids are just so beautiful. So, tell us what you love most about being a mom.
I really like watching, because I homeschool as well. I enjoy watching them learn new things. It's always fun to see when something clicks in their mind, like I'm just watching them as they learn new things. There's so many things. When they discover something new, I have one kid that is Isabella. She is into bugs, and she likes going outside to collect bugs, to catch
Oh
bugs.
wow.
She rescues them if they get in the house. She wants to release them, and I am not a bug person. So watching all these different personalities and how much they differ from me is amazing to see. My kid who loves bugs. I am petrified of bugs. I don't want to have anything to do with them, but she loves them. She lets them crawl up her arm. And so just watching all these different personalities come together and just to see, it makes me wonder what is God going to do with each of them. And so it's
Mm,
amazing to see. You see this life from the beginning, and you see them begin to develop their personalities, and just to see where God is going with it. And it reminds me so much of how God looks at us. I always keep that relationship in mind. Me as a mother watching my kids and thinking, how must God feel watching us?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing.
Wow, wow, wow. So now, um, we're gonna go backwards now. So you mentioned your husband. Tell us about your wonderful husband that you are married to. How long you guys have been married?
So my husband is Odell Watson. He's the pastor of Mount Moriah AME in Cocoa. We have been married now for 18 years. 18 years now. And he's an amazing man. He's a strong man of God. That's what attracted to me, my husband in the first place. I told you we were just talking about Bible study. We were like-minded just in terms of how we interpreted the word, where we stood on the word, and so we actually were in ministry before we got married, and so
Mm,
we've traveled from church to church. We got our first little church together, and did that just before we were married, and it's been 18 years of getting to know each other and getting to know each other again, because we've changed so much over the years. And so it's that constant, that's what marriage is, that constant evolution, and just staying on top of, making sure we know who we are in this moment.
mm-hmm. Now I want to ask you a question. Did you all discuss, or was it something that happened along the way? Did you always know that you would be a stay-at-home mom?
No, no, not at all. Listen, when I tell you this life is completely different from what I envisioned my life being in college, totally different. Um, we, I got my master's degree in marriage and family counseling, specialist in mental health counseling, and so I'm like, okay, so God has called me to get married. All right, so I guess I won't be a missionary. Instead, I will do counseling. I will still work with people, but I'll do counseling. So that was my mindset. And I went that route, did all my hours, got all my stuff done, got my certification. And then, we had Alyssa, and I felt like God was calling me to homeschool. And my husband so we had her, just Alyssa, we had her in a daycare. And we were both doing grad school and doing seminary and pastoring a church and pastoring two churches. And we realized it was too much, that we weren't having family time. That wasn't happening. So we made the decision that we would be better off um, eliminating the salary. I stay at home, and just our quality of life would be better. And so that's how we got to the stay at home route. And that evolved into the homeschooling route. And so God slowly, pulled us in that direction, and allowed us to have the realization that our lives would be better for it. So it wasn't a struggle at all. It was just slowly walking into that direction.
Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. Now, if there is by chance a mom watching or even a woman in ministry, as it relates to what you just discussed, now you had a passion for missionary work and also you wanted to be a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about how you were able to push beyond what you really wanted for yourself to be obedient to what God was telling you to do.
Um, a part of it is that it was like God showed me a little bit at a time, right? You know, there's steps where it's like, you know, when you're walking, if you were to look down, and each step was just lit up just enough for me to put one foot forward at a
Mm-hmm,
time.
mm-hmm,
And so God would only show me that one foot. Okay, put your foot here, one foot forward at a time. And so He prepared me for that first step. And so first we took my daughter out of daycare because we realized daycare wasn't working for us, and she actually came to work with me. And so
mm,
that was my first attempt at, okay, so this whole working and putting my kid in daycare isn't working. So she's gonna come to work with me. And my boss was like, great, yeah, as long as you stay, you can bring your kid. And it was working. That dynamic was working. And but still, you know, I felt like this wasn't quite what God was calling us to. And then I got pregnant with kid number two, and it was too much. And so God was like, yeah, this is too much. And so He kind of slowly shifted us into the direction and showed us how your life is better for it, right? That um, my plans were commendable. They were okay. There were nothing wrong with my plans, but it wasn't the best plans,
mm-hmm,
right? That
mm-hmm.
God's plans were greater, were better than the plans I could have conceived for myself. And so even when we did it, when we took her out of school, you know, and took her out of daycare, and I started staying at home, and financially, that was the main concern. You know, we were pastoring a circuit. Let me tell you,
Mm,
that
mm-hmm,
that's not there's no income there. There's
mm-mm.
no income, and we were grad school and seminary, both of us in school, now working on living on a teacher's salary, and the test was financially would we make it, and I believe in my God honored every sacrifice we made,
Wow.
everything we did. God honored it financially. We never struggled.
Wow.
And to this day, we cannot figure out how we made it.
Mm,
Two kids, two adults, teacher's salary, grad school, seminary, both of us in both of those. And it was to the point where we would open the mail and someone had sent us a check,
mm,
bill paid. And it's just stuff like that kept happening. And we were commuting, so we needed babysitters. When we went to seminary, we needed a babysitter at night to watch our kids. And we had someone come and say, hey, I'll come to your house and watch your kids for you. And she's like, and I'm not going to charge you. I don't even want your money.
wow.
It was a grandmother. It was an older lady that we knew because we were far away from family. And so God just worked everything out. And
Mm,
for me, that was confirmation that
mm-hmm,
every time I put my foot forward, there was no stumbling because God had already cleared the way for me.
mm,
And I was such a believer in hearing the words, and still am such a believer in hearing the voice of God, that I knew everything. I'm like, God, I know that if I go, you're going to honor it and you're going to bless it.
mm,
So that's literally what it was. It was
mm.
us walking one step at a time and
Wow.
trusting. Um, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you step your foot out, how your foot hovers in the air for a second before you put it down. It was knowing that there would be a surface for my foot to land on. You know, that's how it's having that confidence in God's word and knowing that He was going to do it. And so, looking back now at those years, I'm like, man, God did something right there. He
Mm,
worked that thing out financially. Even today, sometimes I wonder. We are now a family of 8 on one salary, on a preacher's salary. And listen, listen, don't let me start shouting. No.
I'm. Ooh.
But God is amazing. That's how, like, and that's how I know like I can never stray away from God at this point in my life because He has done so much and continues to do so much that's unfathomable. Like by human understanding, if I were to look at this in the natural, I'd be like, "What are y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why y'all got so many kids
Mm-hmm.
on a preacher's salary? What are y'all thinking?" And I'm like, "Listen, God's got this because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't my plan to have 6 kids even.
Mm.
My husband and I were like 2 and done. That's what we can afford, 2. And I don't mean to put my business all out there, but let me put my business out there. We took steps to not have any more kids after 2. And you know what I heard God say? You made a mistake. I did not tell you to do that.
Oh, wow.
You step your foot out on ground I did not ordain. I did not call you to step into.
My God.
Listen, and when I say heartbroken, I was like, oh my Lord, how did I put myself in this position? Because I had prided myself so much on just following the voice of God, but I couldn't conceive in my mind how we could afford more than 2 children, right? Because that's what you got to think about. As moms, we have to be practical. We have to think realistically, what fits my budget? What can I afford to do? You know, and all of this stuff. And 2 kids is it. 2 kids are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that thing. We were done. No more kids. And boom, God was like, that's not what I said. That was not my voice. That was not my will. That was you talking to yourself. And for years then I had to pray because now my husband was set 2 and done. And so now it's just me. And I'm like, this isn't what God called us to. God, that was not the voice of God. And it took, so my second is 14 and my third is 8. So it took that many years for me to convince my husband. Let me tell you what happened. So I have been praying and fasting now over my mistake. You know, where it talks about in the Bible, it always talks about coming with sackcloth and ashes and prayer and fasting and mourning. And I was mourning over this mistake I made before God. And I knew it was all me. It was my mess up. And so I was praying and fasting, and I had tribes of women praying with me to just change my husband's heart. And I knew this was God telling me, this is what happens when you step where I didn't call you to step. You're going to have to go through this for a minute. Because in my heart then, I felt like something in me was missing because that wasn't where God sent me. And so and literally that change happened overnight to where I wasn't even pestering my husband about it anymore. I was just praying and fasting over it. And he just texted me one day and he said, make the appointment. Because now we got to do stuff to get this reversed. And he just texted me out of the blue. He went from no way to make the appointment. And when I say God worked everything
God,
out,
yes.
That is an expensive procedure.
Yes.
Expensive.
Yes.
Not in our one salary budget.
Yes.
But listen to how God works. And I'm sorry, I'm straying way off of your
No. Let me tell you. God is allowing you to get this out because this is on here, but I'm also recording it. And I'm going to send it to you. And this is going to be in your book.
Amen.
But when you finish this, you're going to have a couple chapters.
Amen.
No. You need to get it out. Go ahead.
Amen. So it was just, God worked it out to where I found a doctor who is Christian. And this is his ministry. Because he had a vasectomy and he then didn't feel like it was in the will of God. And so his whole ministry was doing reversals at cost. Let me tell you, the surgery went from $25,000 to $1,000. Listen, God just worked this thing out. And so we flew out to him, had the procedure done beginning of December. Listen, middle of December, I was pregnant. Baby number 3. And so, you know, it's interesting to me looking back now at how God just, even mistakes I made, God's like, I can fix that. If you come to me with a broken spirit and a contrite heart, if you are willing to turn back to me completely with your whole heart, I can fix every mistake. Like your mess ups, that's nothing. You know, I'm God. I'm bigger than the mistakes you made. And God just worked that thing out. He fixed it just that quick. as I was willing to turn and not give up, because remember I said, there's a good 5 year age gap here, but I still believe that the word of God was still the same.
Oh
God's
my
like, that was a mistake you made. And waiting for God in that time period, just waiting and waiting. And as soon as we got that done, it was done. God's like, okay, it's done. Reversal beginning of December, pregnant mid-December.
So I said that on the cover somewhere needs to be hearing the voice of the Lord.
Amen.
One of your chapters needs to be waiting for the Lord to answer. Girl, you gonna write this book. We had no idea that we was that book is coming. That book is coming. Oh my gosh.
Amen. I needed that word. I needed that encouragement from you, because that's been my thing right there. I'm like, Lord, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Listen, this is what I've been telling God forever. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But I don't know what. I don't know what. And so praise the Lord. I appreciate that. I received that. Amen.
It's coming. It's coming. Okay. So now we're going to shift to ministry. Okay. So how long have you been preaching the gospel?
About 19 years, 19, 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you wanted to be a missionary.
Yes, I wanted to be a mission. I just wanted to help people. I didn't want to talk. I'm not a talker. I want to talk to anybody. If you knew me back then, you didn't know me because I didn't talk. So I didn't want to be a talker. I just wanted to help people. I was a great listener. I'm always a great listener, and I like helping people. But missionary wasn't God's calling on my life. So, and that was another thing where hearing the voice of God and hearing God say, sorry, that's my little kid.
That's okay.
Hearing the voice of God and hearing God say, this is what I'm calling you to. I need you to speak. And I had excuses for God. I had them lined up. I can't speak. I have a heavy accent. I don't like talking in public. I start sweating. I had all these excuses. And God's like, yeah, so I don't need you to talk. I just need you to be a mouthpiece. I just need you to stand there and say what I tell you to say.
Girl, you are getting these chapters for this book. Another chapter is no more excuses.
Amen.
Huh? Girl, you better write this book. As you talk, I just hear it so clearly. So clearly. Woo! Girl. So tell us about your journey in the ministry. So right now you are an itinerant elder, but tell us about the process. And you mentioned going to seminary and all of that, but tell us about you becoming a deacon and then you going to, or even being licensed to preach. Tell us.
Amen. I was licensed to preach in a small church in Chiefland under Reverend Ronald Rawls.
Okay.
My husband and I both came into ministry under Reverend Rawls, and we consider him our father in the ministry. He was such an amazing role model, and we still keep in contact today. Just an amazing man of God that he grew up so many young ministers at this little church out in Chiefland. We drove 45 minutes. A bunch of college kids from UF drove 45 minutes to all go to this little church where we were the only members.
Wow.
So this was like a breeding ground. Like we were committed. We were sold out. Like we were fasting, praying, Bible study, traveling. It was such an amazing time for us as believers because we had that time where it was just like completely like this was our life. Just developing ourselves and growing spiritually in Christ. And it was an amazing time because we had nothing else to worry about. We didn't have families, we didn't have, careers. And so that was our focus. And so that's where I got my license to preach. And just the process, going through the process with the AME Church in terms of becoming a deacon and an elder. And we had kids, and so dragging them off with us to Asbury, where we went to seminary. We were doing that while we were in grad school. So it was a busy time in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
doing all that schooling. And I remember taking the kids with me. You know, God, when I say God worked everything out, He worked everything out. My professors were amazing. They let me bring Alyssa to class with me because that's how it worked. My husband was working. I had to
Wow.
drive to Orlando, and they would let me bring her, and she was such a great baby. She would sit there with me in the back of the class to the point where when I came out of class, people were like, "Oh, we didn't know there was a baby in here." And so literally, God
But
worked, and this is what I'm
wait,
saying.
wait,
When
wait,
God,
wait.
go
But
ahead.
but but I gotta add, that is so true about your children. Annual conference. It amazes me how you sit in annual conference with your children and you never know that they are there.
I forgot about that. We would take these kids. When I say everywhere, they were preachers' kids. People knew them. We would push that stroller through the lobby, like they didn't have a choice. We didn't have anyone to send them to, and I homeschooled, so there was no school for them to go to during those hours. And so they would just come with their schoolwork and sit there. And this is what I'm saying: when God calls you to something, He works everything out. Like
Everything.
He lines it up. He's like, okay, I'm going to give your kids the disposition where they can sit here and entertain themselves
Mm,
and just make it through.
I just heard one more.
Go ahead.
He will line it up.
Amen. Amen. And he did. Keep going. Keep helping me out here.
Girl, oh, you gonna write that book. Oh my goodness.
Amen. But yeah, God literally He did it. I mean, He lined everything up so that all I had to do was keep following His voice. And He's like, I got this worked out. Just keep following my voice. And so yeah, they went with us through all that stuff. I joked around that my kids should have received an honorary seminary degree as well because they sat in all those classes. So yeah, God worked it out, and we went through the whole ordination process, which was a little challenging. I struggled a lot with the ordination process, being a female coming up in the church. Um, I was amazed at the difference between my journey and my husband's journey.
Mm-hmm.
His was a lot easier. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have some of the questions that I had to deal with.
Mm-mm.
He didn't have some of the, because I'm not very, I don't conform very well,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like to, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do it just because you told me to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and so there were some things that I struggled with in
Mm-hmm.
that process,
Mm-hmm.
and I really had to continue seeking God because I'm like, God, I could do this without man's approval.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need men to tell me, and so I don't want to sound all out there, but I struggled for a little bit, and I had to talk to my husband sometimes and be like, listen, are you sure this is the route we need to take
Mm-hmm.
to get here? If you want to keep going, I'll go. But if you want to go somewhere else, I'll go somewhere else too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a struggle
It was a
as
struggle.
a female.
It was a struggle. I concur. It
But
was a
God,
struggle.
yeah, but God pulled me through it.
Won't he do it?
Got me through it.
There you go. He will pull you through. Definitely. Okay, so tell us the churches that you all have served and then tell us about your role at the church where you are now.
All right. We served at St. James in Chiefland, Bethel, Trenton. We served in Altamont Springs,
New Bethel.
uh, New Bethel. There you go. Altamont
Mm-hmm.
Springs. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep all the names straight. We served at St. James in Sanford
That's right.
and Bethel. My daughter is feeding me churches.
Okay.
Bethel and Sanford, and now we're at Mount Moriah in Cocoa.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Bethel and Sanford. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a lot of traveling
Mm-hmm.
in here, and so we got to the point where we were a few minutes from our last church, from our house, and then God called us over here in Cocoa, Mount Moriah in Cocoa, and then we were a few minutes, and then we moved again. So now we're at Mount Moriah in Cocoa, and my husband's the pastor, and I just assist him in any capacity that he needs me. Um, Before things shut down, I do counseling. So we would do marriage and family counseling or marriage counseling any kind of counseling. If someone needed that, I would usually do that. And working with any of the boards, so all the auxiliary boards, I work with those, the children's ministry, that type of stuff. And whenever my husband needs a preacher to stand in, fill in for him, he has a built-in preacher right there. He just came in talking to me in the background. So just wherever he needs me, I kind of fill in and, do whatever he needs me to do. It's always good to not have to carry the load alone, to have someone to share it with.
That is a true, true blessing. Is he trying to come on camera?
Yeah, him and the baby.
Tell him don't steal your time. Come on, Reverend Odell. Come on, let us see it.
Okay, come on.
Hey, lady.
Hey, Pastor. How are you?
Baby, he got called to come grab the baby.
Listen, I want you to know that you are an awesome mom and an awesome woman in ministry. Very quiet, very humble, but I want you to know that your light shines so brightly. And I know that what you shared today is going to bless some other moms and also women in ministry. I want to thank you for being the awesome mom that you are and the awesome mouthpiece that you are for the Lord. I want to thank you for everything that you do for kingdom building. Continue to work for the upbuilding of his kingdom. I hear the Lord say that you have been an awesome mom. But he is about to enlarge Lateria's individual life. There won't be one book. There will be books. Moms need to hear your story because there are so many moms that feel like they cannot do it. There are so many moms that feel like they are alone and that they will never be able to do the things that you have done as a mom. The sacrifices that you have made as a mom, the sacrifices that you have made as a wife. So I invited you today on Her Peace of Mind talk show for you to share your story, but to also honor you and celebrate you as a mom and as a woman in ministry. So you are going to receive one of my Reclaim Her Relax boxes. Haven't been able to send the boxes because the mail is a little strange. But you're going to get the items. You're going to get one of my faith journals for you to journal in. You're going to get one of my Her Peace candles, soy scented candles. And you're going to get a set of my body scrub and body butter. There's one more item, which is the teacup, but I have been having a problem shipping that as well. So I'm going to have to get that to you in another way. But after you let me know the scent, we will talk later, probably by text. You're going to receive these items shipped to you at your house. I want you to know how much I appreciate you and I celebrate you for being the awesome mom, and the awesome woman in ministry that you are. Those of you who join me weekly, you already know what I'm going to ask you to do. I need you to thank Reverend Lateria Watson for coming on today, for sharing her story, for telling us about her journey as a mom and as a woman in ministry. I need you all to heart it up. I need you all to like it so that she will be able to go on and see it. If you have any questions that you would like to ask her, post the questions in the comments and she will be able to see it because it is on her page as well. If you have anything that you would like to say to her, you can say it to her. She will be able to read it there. Again, Reverend Watson, I want to say thank you. I also want to say, write the book. So many people need to hear your story. Your story is a true blessing. I also hear the Lord say that you need to write a devotional for women.
I teach Bible study. That's one of the things I do. And that's another thing that God has put on my heart repeatedly.
God
Amen.
sent me here today to.
Amen.
He sent you here today.
I receive it. I'm listening.
He sent you here today. I told you in the very beginning that you were handpicked. God knew that you needed to share this because he already knows that there's some books inside of you. Begin to write. I hear the Lord say that it is going to flow like you never imagined. Your fear that there was going to be blockage. But I hear the Lord say that when you begin to write or you begin to type on your computer, that it is going to just flow freely. Receive it. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
On Her Peace of Mind talk show. Thanks again. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.